Our last time on Overlooked Everyday Carry, we talked about hats, not caps. And today, we're going to be talking about what's underneath the hat. Yes, we're going to be covering research, training, and experience. Your mind, which is the most important tool that you have no matter what you're doing. First, let's talk about research. What environment are you in? What are the risks and dangers associated with that environment? What are the most common causes of injury? What are the most common causes of death? Uh, you know what 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 are the plants like? What are the animals like? What is the weather like? What is extreme weather like? How do people adjust to those various factors? And this leads into training. Once you know what you're looking for, you know the environment that you're interested in. It doesn't matter if your environment is in the Arctic and contains polar bears, or it's in the jungle and there are malaria mosquitoes, or it's in the desert and there are scorpions. Go ahead and find some experts, and you can do that right on YouTube. You can find people who have the experience, who can talk about what they've learned. A lot of times they can even demo things and show you stuff. And this is basically training. And I would say in terms of like research, you want to, of course, read about first aid, but you also want to take a first aid class. Do you know the new CPR guidelines? Have you practiced them? Do you know how to use a tourniquet to stop trauma? Have you practiced doing that? You want to get training from experts. You want to see what the experts have to say. And then, of course, the practice is experience. You want to try it. And a lot of times when you're thinking about, are you prepared? You can think about, have you done this before? Have you had an experience like this before? If you're going on a rafting trip, have you gone canoeing before? Do you have any relevant experience? Have you trained on rafting at all? Have you tried some smaller trips to build your experience up? It's the same with hiking. You don't just go out and hike 200 miles through the wilderness. And even if you did hiking a long time ago, so let's say you're a scout and you did hiking when you were a teenager. You were in Wyoming for a week in a different century, like me. Okay, but what have you done recently? What are your more recent hikes like? How long are they? Well, what are you capable of? And that knowledge is extremely important in all kinds of situations, in terms of avoiding injury, in terms of staying safe, and in terms of emergency situations. A lot of people, they look at an emergency situation. It doesn't matter if there's a flood or if there's a windstorm or a power outage, and they what if, and they say, oh, I would just do this, I would just do that. Well, do you know how? You can make a fire using tools you find in the wood, rocks and bits of metal, and you can rub two sticks together if you know how to make a friction bow. You can make your own water filter. You can use stone tools and make your own knife. But you have to know how, and you have to get training. At least watch a YouTube video with some expertise and get some insight on it. And you've got to practice it. You probably don't want to have your first friction bow fire have your life depend on that. You really have to you have to look at it. And I'm using friction bow fires here, but I had to make fire without matches in the Boy Scouts. However, I haven't really used that since then. But what I have used? I have used a flashlight. This morning I went to take the dog for a walk, and the lights were gone in the stairs, and it was 5:50 in the morning, so there was no way for me to see. There was no light, and I had to use a headlamp. I've used flashlights on power outages numerous times. Never used a friction bow, and that's where that research component comes in. Find out what you need to know, and then seek out appropriate training, and then practice it. Gain some experience. Make it so that you're comfortable doing the thing, so that the information is up in your head. Because it's easy to Google all this stuff, but in a real world situation, you don't want to be Googling CPR. By the time you watch enough videos and find the one you really need, somebody might already be dead. So there's a certain, and that's why you use research to figure out what pieces of information are key. If you do your research and you discover, hey, friction bows, fire starting doesn't really help very much, then learn something else. Put something else into your mind. But if you're in an environment where lots of people end up having to start fires without matches, look up look up those techniques. So do your homework, do your research, get some training, and then practice, practice, practice. Because the most important tool that you have for everyday carry is under your hat. Thanks. Have a great day.